Thank you, Hidde. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before we talk about the future, let me take you back to August 4, 2012, when I was reading the headline of the International Herald Tribune, which was then, "Europeans Meet Your New Boss." The head of fixed income securities of Royal Bank of Scotland in London was posing as Mr. Europe. The article deals with their impressions of a $6 billion daily bond market in Europe, their traders' attitudes and their constraints. A bond market in Europe where we're seeing a sort of a power shift from politicians to bankers. It talks about the worries that some of the traders have great difficulties to decipher conflicting signals from the European political leaders. The traders admit themselves that their decisions are not necessarily consistent or rational and have in turn huge impact on political leaders again. A market that is setting the destiny of Europe is compared by them with the Oracle of Delphi. The bond market traders themselves are admitting to fear and confusion. So as global challenges for society, we not only have temperature and weather volatility from climate change and air pollution, malnutrition and political conflicts to deal with. We're also still in a full-blast financial, banking and sovereign debt crisis, and as a result, we're facing globally an increasingly dull macroeconomic climate. All this impacts the real economy. And we, as the businesses in general, react. We change gear and get into crisis mode. And what happens in businesses when we change gear into crisis mode? We concentrate on the essentials. And here finally we are. The question is transformation in the palm market into fully sustainable physical supply chains an essential? Many of us here would probably say yes, but I guess others maybe have another view. And this may slow the process. Some may want to continue their business as usual approach regarding sustainability, and that is wait for your neighbor next door to move first. I would like to ask, what are we waiting for? So, dear value chain participant in derivative products, I have three simple messages for you with regard to the transformation into sustainable palm markets. Be responsible, start now. Do not use the complexity of derivative markets as an excuse. Try to keep it simple. And act now. Talk to your value chain neighbor and move together. And with this, the most important, I think, has been said. But I guess you don't want the brief version, and I still have 10 minutes left, so let me use these 3 bullets as my agenda. Many companies down the value chain have made commitments with regard to the palm product use. Different commitments, slight variations here and there, but in general, many companies have been saying we want to use sustainable palm oil and palm kernel oil by 2015. But how to get there in the derivatives market? Some of us here will say now we've tried so far and failed. Why? Many reasons. One is definitely that people underestimate the process, the sourcing concepts, the operational preparation, the supply chain audits, and others. The speed in which various parts of the value chain have started to look at these challenges has accelerated lately, but it is still too slow. I'm quite sure there's still a strong group of members, even in this room, who have not started to look at this. I must motivate you, start now. It will take some time to get into full swing in the derivative section. It will absorb resources. The earlier the better. Audit companies also need a learning curve in the derivatives market. Many processing steps in the derivative market are of a different kind than the classical refining process we know from the edible first step market. The best is if this process is done together. Members in derivative cannot expect all answers from auditors. Also for them, this is new territory. But also sourcing constraints. In the derivative market, a big portion, at least in the home and personal care market, is of this non-edible use, deals with palm kernel oil as a raw material. We all know we have a lot of certified palm kernels, but where is the oil? I can tell you it's not so easy to find. Also, some big companies in the upper part of the value chain are not willing to look at it, not even if you offer them a decent price premium. So in my view, it needs more efforts from all parts of the supply chain to make the change happen. More efforts and more speed. Keep it simple. The RSPO Standing Committee Trade and Traceability, of which I'm a member, started to tackle the issue of derivatives about 2 years ago now. We started to look at oleochemical derivatives for the home and personal care market. Since then, the Standing Committee Trade and Traceability has come up with an easy guide that you can find on the RSPO website, how to calculate common home and personal care market derivatives as a basis to consider coverage of certificates. But this is only a stepping stone. We must start physical transition. I'm not saying this is easy. It requires the establishment of certified supply chains, discussion in the supply and value chains about options, and consideration and negotiation of cost. Because there is extra cost, at least at this point in time. If we establish supply chains, there's not only work, adjustment of ERP and reporting systems, supply chain audits, training sessions. On top of all that, there are also product premium cost and extra cost from supply chain complexity. With all this, we must try to keep it as simple as possible. The transition in oleochemicals into physical supply chains maybe needs further clarification or support so that the transformation process is simpler, especially on the operational level and also for the auditors. The auditors, no surprise, are not yet fully familiar with the technologies, the options, and the complexities. Therefore, it is also a learning process for them to move deeper into derivatives. That is why the subgroup of the Trade and Traceability Committee is based on an initiative from AOMG, the ASEAN Oleochemical Manufacturers Group, presently in discussion whether we need more clarity from another guiding paper for this physical transition. On a completely different subject, let me just say a few things about something else. While trying to keep it simple, I must alert you that from our perspective, the next challenge is coming. We must integrate footprint data into the value chains. Market demand is rising from an end consumer market to bring transparency into this element. There are so many question marks and different perspectives about the details of GHG emission and LCA data for our value chains. And there are so many poorly conducted secondary data sets circulating around us that we strongly believe that it is our obligation as serious businesses to understand these challenges of the future, to provide for clarity and bring our commitment also into this area. But before our today's agenda is taken to another hemisphere by tomorrow's challenges, the key word from today is act now. It is relatively easy to hide behind the book and claim scheme, even though for derivatives that is already complex enough. I must say I have great respect for the Green Palm platform. It was a controversial discussion before and when it started, and in some aspects it is still today. As many of you know, some visionary people from AAK were and are behind the platform. They saw the need for this interim tool from the beginning. And even beyond 2015, we as the market will continue to need such a tool that will help to demonstrate commitment. But the focus and the resources must increasingly be concentrated on physical. So don't wait for others to do your homework. Start yourself. Discuss issues with your fellow colleagues in the supply chain, with auditors, with the RSPO Secretariat if needed, that is now blessed with more resources, with a new supply chain manager, Joyce Ho, who joined on July 1st. It is still our strong belief that the RSPO is the most solid to execute this transformation also in derivatives with excellence. It is the most supported and transparent system. BASF has published their commitment in March 2011, and it reads, our goal is to purchase all our palm and palm kernel oil from certified sustainable sources, and we're working towards achieving this goal by 2015. Nothing spectacular. To reach this goal, and as the availability of certified palm kernel oil is still limited, we're stepwise increasing our purchases of certified sustainable palm kernel oil as the market develops. The logical consequence of this is to establish supply chains for products based on segregated palm kernel oil. The manufacturing of segregated-based oleochemicals and further downstream derivatives in its complexity requires a comprehensive value chain preparation. The market success of such products, future availability of physical palm kernel oil as well as other oleochemical derivatives will determine the speed of the transformation process in this market segment. With our commitment, we're showing to all stakeholders and also our customers that we're serious. But we will only make progress together. The final scope and shape of the transformation will also depend on our suppliers and our customers. We're continuously talking to both parts of the value chain to persuade participants into high-speed physical transformation. Despite the constraints that I've talked about, I can say that I know that both RSPO segregated and mass-balanced supply chain concepts for edible oil derivatives and home and personal care products are possible. Their introduction is not about feasibility. It is about commitment. So I would like to stress again, dear fellow RSPO supporter, despite challenges and constraints in our business environment, stay committed. Let me close, as usual in my speeches, with a saying. This time I would like to quote the German physicist Albert Einstein, and he said, I'm more interested in the future than in the past because I intend to live in it. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention.